Good morning and welcome to the Board of Commissioners meeting for Franklin County. Today is Wednesday, September 4th, 2024. At this time, I will call the meeting to order and ask that you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adoption of current agenda. Any additions or corrections?
Mr. Chairman, one amendment to the agenda. Would like to add item number 4 under regular business, resolution 2024-212, OPD office assistant resolution.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other additions or corrections? Hearing none. Approval of minutes, 8/28/2024, Commissioner meetings. Any additions, corrections?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we better vote on the approval of the,
The agenda?
yeah,
Okay, amended agenda.
we didn't vote on it.
All in favor of amending the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Approval of minutes, 8/28/2024, Commissioner meeting minutes. Any additions or corrections?
No additions.
No additions or corrections.
All right. Approval of warrant registers.
We have 2 this morning, Mr. Chairman. I move to approve salary clearing payroll and emergency management payroll in the amount of $1,038,486.34, and note that it has been reviewed by 2 members of the auditor's office and signed by our administrator.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I move for fund expenditures in the amount of $139,965.89, and again, it has been reviewed by 2 members of the auditor's office and signed by Mr. Johnson.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Just 2
Just the
officers.
2 vouchers, yes,
Okay.
sir.
Moving on to public comment. Is there anyone in the room for public comment? If so, come forward, state your name, and you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Mullen, Mr. Chairman. I am here, LaWanda Hatch from Franklin County, and I'm here because I have been receiving some troubling, some people from out in the farmlands, some farmers and other landowners have reached out to me of concerning things that are happening. And I don't know if this is legal or not, but or even if you know what it is, but I really think there needs to be either an audit or an investigation. But I've had at least 3 come and talk to me about, they come to the commissioner's office or to the assessor's office to separate land, and the next thing they know, Mr. Bauman is there with a client before they even decide whether they're going to sell it or if they're going to, or what they're going to do. And so they have no idea how he's getting that information. If he's using his office for that, that's very concerning. For me, I don't know if that's legal or not, but it's certainly unethical. And I think that our county deserves ethical leaders. Mr. Bauman has also asked people to control my speech. He does not believe in the Constitution. He does not believe in freedom of speech. He wants me to be controlled because he doesn't want the people to know the truth. When at our FCRCC meeting, he was to answer questions on vetting, whether we were going to endorse him or not. He goes up to the front of the room, flailing his arms, saying he will not be grilled. He will not be grilled, to which no one would ask a question because they were in shock and intimidated. So I asked a question in which I was cut off because it was deemed inappropriate. And when someone called for my censure for asking the question, The assessor's assistant said, if only I could. These are the people running our county. And what was that question? This is the question in which no one can interrupt me, and that's why I'm coming here to speak publicly. The question is, Mr. Baumann, you only have a first grade public education. If you were homeschooled, it would have been in a culture that they do not believe in the Constitution, they do not study civics, they do not study how the Constitution was formed or the Constitution, the purpose of it, and our more perfect union. And they do not vote. They are good people, do not get me wrong. But my question then, after that preface, was to be, what have you studied, read, or courses have you taken to understand the Constitution? And that was deemed an inappropriate question by Mr. Baumann and our assessor's assistant. If you find that there is some troubling, unethical things happening there, you gentlemen, it's on you because you appointed him, but you also have the authority to unappoint him. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room for public comment? Do we have any callers on the phone? Moving on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of consent agenda items 1 through 3 as presented.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion's pass. Moving on to regular business. Item number 1, Resolution 2024-0209, initiating a county road project, presented by Craig Erdman, Director, County Engineer. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Before the board is the creation of County Road Project 640, Columbia River Road elimination of irrigation ditch and extension of culverts project. The Public Works Department secured funding for 3 safety projects through the FHWA Highway Safety Improvement Program. This is the third of those 3 safety projects. The proposed work includes replacing the irrigation ditch running parallel to Columbia River Road with a buried pipe, as well as the extension of 2 culverts, one at Falls Road and Vineyard Drive, and the other at Langford Road and Russell Road. The estimated cost of the project is $1,403,000, with a local match of 0 to 13.5%, depending on when we can obligate. This project is part of the 2024 annual construction program, and be happy to answer any questions.
At what time will the project start?
That depends on when we can get it designed. Right now, this is just to kick it off and get us into preliminary engineering to start designing the project. Which currently we do not have any in-house capability to do that project, so I'll be searching for a consultant.
I see. Any questions?
Questions?
No. All right, no further questions. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve Resolution 2024-0209, County Road
Second.
Project, CRP 640, Columbia River Road, elimination of irrigation ditch and extension of culverts.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The resolution passes. Resolution 2024-0210, approval of local agency projects prospectus and enter into a local agreement, presented by Craig Erdman.
This resolution approves the project prospectus and enters us into a local agency agreement with Washington State Department of Transportation local programs to obligate the preliminary engineering for the project that we just created.
Questions?
Nope.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of Resolution 2024-0210.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Mr. Erdman. All right, Resolution 2024-0211, new interlocal agreement to replace Franklin County Resolution 2019-042, presented by Jeff Briggs, Deputy Prosecuting Attorney. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. So, as you all know, we have our own drug court program now, and as a result of that, we terminated our bi-county drug court agreement. In doing so, that was linked to a number of other projects that we are undertaking with Benton County, which we wanted to preserve. We only wanted to no longer participate in the bi-county drug court program. So this resolution is just reestablishing those programs, which we're currently operating under, because when we terminated that interlocal agreement, while we had to give notice by the end of June, that termination is effective in December. So this interlocal agreement commences in December, and this is for the programs Juvenile Drug Courts, FFT, SAP, Detention Mental Health Team, and the Education Employment Training programs, which again, we're under the program that we, or the interlocal agreement that we terminated. So my recommendation is that we approve this interlocal agreement to maintain the status quo with those remaining programs.
Questions?
Just if I could add, I just want to make sure, I think everyone is aware, and perhaps you can elaborate, is that Franklin County retained therapeutic and drug courts, but moved them into their district court system. So it's not like we eliminated those programmatic areas, we just are delivering them in a different way.
That's correct. And technically, right now, we're still in the bi-county program because that does not terminate until the end of the year. So we actually have 2 drug courts right now that we're operating. We had talked about maybe doing early termination from the bi-county drug court program, but my understanding is we still have participants in the bi-county program. And they're doing really well. There's no indication they're going to fail out of that. So it's important, I think, to keep those participants in that program. But yes, that is true. We have our own Franklin County District Court program that's run by Judge Orozco and her team.
Questions?
I don't believe I have a question, just one comment. In this resolution where it talks about our date of termination, I believe that should say December 31st of 2023 instead of 2024.
No, I believe that date's accurate. So we under the resolution, and this was kind of the complicating factors, we probably should have just negotiated a new resolution and repealed the old one and replaced it with this. But we were under a time crunch because we got the new drug court program, and that was around June that we started looking at our bi-county interlocal agreement, realizing that we had to give notice by June. But that termination isn't effective until the end of the year. So really, although we gave notice at the end of June, that termination is effective December 31st, 2024, which is why this interlocal agreement doesn't even take effect until January 1st of 2025.
It reads like it was terminated on December 31st, 2024. It will be terminated.
Will be terminated, right?
So the resolution did terminate it, effective
I
December
understand.
31st.
Thank you.
But you're right. Yeah, reads a
Right,
little
it
strange.
is talking about the future in the past tense, so.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of Resolution 2024-0211 as presented.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Commissioner Administrator updates.
We have a
more.
fourth.
Oh, I'm sorry, the fourth.
So I believe this should be presented by Mr. Cuevas.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. Before you have a resolution to approve the office assistant position at OPD at a 14-3 level. I think there was some confusion on the fiscal impact that we got cleared up earlier this morning. We had a 14-1 that started this year, was only in that position for a few months. That position didn't work out. He has since resigned. But in looking back at our budget for last year, this position was actually budgeted at a 14-3 for Mr. Dmitry Stetsky, who I'm sure many of you are more familiar with. He would have been a 14-4 October 1st of this year. So as far as fiscal impact, we are really, if the board approves this measure, we are really trailing Mr. Stetsky's budgeted salary and benefits by one step. So I don't believe this would have a fiscal impact. This is also a very important position. This is the plumbing behind when a judge appoints an indigent defendant, an attorney. This is the person that actually would get that done. The person that we have negotiated this offer with has several years, but let's say about 3 to 4 of office experience, glowing recommendations, is bilingual, and we feel that we can train her as far as the legal side, so she gets up to speed.
Is this the same position that came forward last week?
This is, Chair, this is, however, a different candidate. That candidate rejected the offer at 14-3. It would have been a lateral move for them at 14-6, which we requested. And they currently do this job, the exact role in Benton County, but that person did reject. So this is a different candidate.
All right, thank you. Questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
so you're saying you're going to have to train this individual then for part of this job?
For part of it, on the legal side, Commissioner, she does have a lot of office experience and billing experience, which is another major function of this role. When attorneys send in their invoices, expert witnesses send in their invoices. So that is something we feel that she will be very comfortable with in the beginning. But as far as the legal side of things, she will need some training. We do have Jennifer Moore, who was recently hired, has 6 years experience in the legal field. So we have the people in place to get her up to speed.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
If I can just add, I think one of the things to keep in mind as well, we don't know yet what will come out at the state in terms of new requirements for the Office of Public Defense. But what we do know is one of the elements within that is to provide more administrative support so that the attorneys themselves we're maximizing the attorney time. And so this could be just for us to be thinking about a potentially earlier and better investment for us to make so that our attorneys are able to expend their time where it is most appropriate, which is dealing with their clients in the courts and not dealing with administrative matters. It's a much more cost-effective manner for us to make an investment into the Office of Public Defense as well.
All right. Any other further questions? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of Resolution 2024-0212, the hiring of Office of Public Defense Assistant, Office Assistant.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Moving on to Commissioner Administrator updates. Mr. Johnson, do you have any administrator updates?
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. Received updated draft of the betterments yesterday morning from Benton County, so I'll be taking a look at that and getting that together with legal counsel to make sure that we can get that to you, if not next week, the following week. So I think we're on a pretty good path to meet the expectations of what the direction that the board provided us. So working on that. Getting ready for wanting getting you ready for some thinking around budget workshops, kind of in our workshop agenda period after our October board meetings, spending some time, maybe at an hour each meeting, just in preparation for that, I'll call it Hell Week, where you will be hearing from all departments and all offices in regards to their 2025 budget requests. So how do we do a good job preparing you for that marathon, but also what is it that you need to hear from those departments, helping you refine what your budget principles and priorities will be, as we can do a lot of front work that will aid you later on, potentially in your deliberations in November. So just working with folks, been meeting with the auditor's office in preparation for the materials for you, preparation for qualitative analysis that might be beneficial for you, so that we can do our best to have you well prepared for those initial set of meetings and then the follow-up deliberation as well. I'm nearing completion with all my meetings with department heads and outside elected officials, and we'll begin to venture out into the community and meeting some other folks. I have a meeting with the city manager for Pasco this evening, so starting to make some external meetings now with other important governmental partners. Doing that as well. Still look for opportunities for take tours into the county as well. I'll be taking a tour with Commissioner Didier. I've taken some of our other facility tours, so really important piece of the work that I'm doing to familiarize myself with in particular with Franklin County as well. So I think those are the big critical components, I guess, that I just wanted to bring to your attention as we kind of lay forward, kind of for me, the next important meetings. I do want to confirm that we will have a quorum for, is it 2 weeks, on September 18th? I know we have one commissioner that cannot make it. I don't know if you can confirm for us whether you'll be here on September 18th or not, so we can make sure we have a quorum. As a reminder, next week is my other week that I will not be here in Franklin County, so just want to remind you of that. Otherwise, I'll be here through the December time frame. And then I do want to spend time on the 25th, the meeting on September 25th in workshop. I was hoping to do it on the 18th, but we'll do it when all three of you are here on the 25th to really talk about the direction you want to move on permanent role for a county administrator, governmental structures. We'll talk about how the counties do their business, from having county administrator to not have a county administrator, and the options that other counties have utilized for that, and get direction from the board of your next steps. I just want to make sure that that's going to be on your calendar. So important workshop for us to meet, because we would then probably have some follow-up actions shortly after that. So
September 18th we're scheduled for a night meeting. So, yeah, I mean, I'll be here, so,
I will not be here.
Okay.
I've already made that notice, so.
all right.
is that our night meeting scheduled?
That's what it is on my schedule, is a night meeting for September 18th.
I was not aware of that. I am otherwise scheduled very solid that night.
Okay, well, either way, I will be here.
Okay, great.
So, but we should address that, because at least that's the way it is programmed on my calendar here.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thanks.
Yep, thank you. Commissioner Bauman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Somewhat of a short week with a long Labor Day weekend. Enjoyed going to a number of parades and being out in the community. Really enjoy that. Budget meeting with the auditor's office. Appreciate the auditor's office being so available and helping me understand what that the budgeting process looks like. Meeting with HAPO Center manager and leadership there. Number of phone calls about the proposed 0.02% E911 tax and some people asking for some additional information there. So working with the auditor's office to collect some information so that I can provide that. Received a phone call about the cattle processing facility and how notices were sent out for that. So went to the planning and met with the staff there and so that I could better understand the process and believe that it was carried out as required. Another pretty lengthy call about some concerns about some enforcement action that was taken in the county. And with that, just regular meeting with staff and time spent on responding to questions and reading emails, and that's my report.
Thank you. Commissioner Didier.
Well, last week we had the mandatory recount, and I'm here to say that our election committee did an incredible job. There was no changes in our counts. I believe there was only one vote changed in Grant County. Don't know about the report from the west side, but our elections staff did a great job. I also received some phone calls from constituents about the closed record hearing we had on the meat processing facility. They were upset because they weren't notified. I told them that I don't believe that we do any notification to individuals. We put it in the paper, and it was done correctly. So there was some that's one thing that I was alarmed at. There was nobody here that was against it. And yet, at the Planning Commission meeting, there was quite a few people there against it. So they weren't in the audience. They didn't get notified, but it was notified in the paper, and that's the way it's done legally. Then I received phone calls about people that are really upset about the approaches that are being required on $25,000 increase any improvements on your property. And so I've asked Mr. Johnson, and we're going to go take a tour of roads and show him the county up north and everything that's going on in the agricultural community of the county here this afternoon. I appreciate him taking the time to make a run with me. So got that going on this afternoon. That's the end of my report.
All right. I also got the calls about the noticing, and I checked with Derek Bratton, and yes, the noticing was put in the paper. Everything was done according to policy. Also had a meeting with HWL on the HAPO Center, just some updates there. And that is it. So moving on to administrative office business. I think we pretty much covered that in the commissioner updates, unless you, Eric Johnson, if you have any further. All right. So we'll now open it up for public comment. If there's anyone in the room for public comment, please come forward, state your name. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good morning, Michelle Andrews, and a couple of comments right off the top. I definitely believe you do need a county administrator. You need that assistance, that consistency when you're off doing the other required duties and other meetings. I really sincerely, as a taxpayer, want to see an administrator here. I think they're the glue inside and outside. With regard to notification, I have subscribed to the graphic, but it is not the majority of what people read, and so I would ask that you would do both. Tri-City Herald, it's not my favorite paper. As someone with news background, it's quite often abhorrent to me, but people do read that, and to notify people properly, I think you need to cover all the bases, even though it does fill policy. And final comment, to the comments that were made earlier in that meeting, our assessor's assistant was acting as vice chair, and the particular person speaking was out of order, and she was asked to calm down. There were some of the very farmers that she spoke that she defended regarding what she thinks Mr. Bauman's activity is, that were calling for her censure. So I'm going to hold up, when I ran for school board, she didn't even come ask me what middle school I taught at. It was a private school that closed. You couldn't find it on the internet. and she accused me of lying. She does not get her ducks in a row. She often defames people in this building, including the prosecutor's assistant, Ms. Marcus Connor's wife. She's on the videos talking about the sheriff that we looked at regarding the HAPO Center, and I've viewed every one of them. She is defaming Mr. Rosenau in the paper, and I would ask you to consider defamatory process with her. She took the Facebook of the Central Committee for herself, took all the contacts and information. It was quote-unquote legal, but when she talks about ethics, she needs to abide by them herself. I have forgiven her, but what the damage she does to our community with half-truths. A client may have asked Mr. Baumann to go look at that property, but she doesn't consider that. She has done many, many things, some of them good, some of them bad, and she's no less a citizen of this community than I. But when you start defaming and connecting dots like the assistant of the assessor's office did this and that, you are defaming the people in this building. People, some of them have worked here for over 30 years, and they're gone. I am dismayed at that because it hurts our county. The only reason I got involved, because I want to help my county. If a party or a representative or someone else in the community wants to help my county, I welcome it. And sometimes, yes, there needs to be accountability. That's the check and balances and the beauty of our country. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room for public comment? Do we have any callers on the phone? No. All right, hearing none. Executive session as needed.
We do need an executive session under 4230 110(1)(I). There are a couple of subjects. The first, we would require the clerk of the board, Mr. Johnson, the board, and Mr. Leisure. For the second, we would not require Mr. Leisure, but everyone else.
All right,
Same
And
RCW.
same RCW. We'll say 30 minutes. So.
all right, so at this point, we'll go into executive session for 30 minutes under the RCW code stated. And we We've come out of executive session. We're going to return back into executive session under the same RCW code for 30 minutes. So the time will be 10:35 when we're done.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, I can tell you right now.
So we've come out of executive session. We're going to go back into executive session under the same RCW code for approximately 15 minutes, which will be 10:51, 10:52. Thank you. We've come out of executive session with no decisions being made. Is there any further business for the good of the county? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.